Oh, thank you so much. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for coming to see us, Aislyn.
Hey Nacho, good to talk to you. Good to see everyone.
Oh man, so you guys went over so many awesome changes in the Steph update. Honestly,
Hmm.
I'm so glad to see so many things heading over to the Eternal Realm as well, just right off the bat. Is there anything that you're the most excited to see with season 9 that you've worked on?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, what to pick? There's so many different things coming in season 9. Um, so I guess I would say like I was always a big fan of Nightmare Dungeons and basically like every iteration they've had. And so I was really happy that we got an opportunity to really expand on that. It was super fun to work on all of the updates to the positive and the negative affixes and to add all the new affixes and to just like make the whole package really sing. And another thing I'm particularly excited about with those changes is just the potential for the future, because we have this cool, robust system. Like we can add new positive affixes, we can add new negative affixes, we can add seasonal affixes. Like there's just lots of really cool design space to work with there.
I'm so excited for that because I know for a while the Nightmare Dungeons were pretty much just for Obducite and maybe like runes. So it's so refreshing to see so many more things being added to them and just so much like you mentioned the replayability of it as well, where you're not going to get like the same experience every time you go in one, and I think everybody thinks that's really important. So I know we're all really excited to just get in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, there's also a lot of positive affixes that just touch on some like much more miscellaneous stuff. Like if you, for whatever reason, run out of materials or like a specific currency or resource rather, you can just go and find those, or you can look specifically for strong rooms. Like there's just a lot of choice in the whole thing too, which really helps smooth out the whole process.
Oh, absolutely. That honestly is it's one of the things I was most excited for is just being able to not necessarily I don't know if target farm is the right word, but being able to do things that you like and still get rewards that are useful to you, and it's not all pigeonholed into like one activity gives one thing. So I really like that change.
Yeah, that's absolutely not something we want to like be the case either. We want to make sure that whenever there's something you can earn or acquire in the game, there's like multiple paths towards it. One of the main ways we've been thinking about it is that there's like a primary acquisition source and then either a singular secondary source or like just a smattering of ways to acquire stuff. So we've been doing a lot of passes just throughout the whole game, trying to bring that philosophy to life, and we're probably going to continue to do that going forward.
That's awesome. Honestly, I love the whole mentality of trying to make more and more things evergreen. That just is so exciting. That things that we end up falling in love with aren't just going to go away. Like we're going to see them in different ways and exciting different ways.
Yeah, and like we definitely end up feeling that too. Like, what we were talking about with the seasonal power and stuff. And like we keep all of those things and those ideas and like the really popular ones that people love in our pocket. And we definitely, like there's a future where a lot of those things end up returning, and all of these temporal things can come back and fit into the game in modular new ways as we keep making new seasons.
And that has to be fun for you too. I do want to ask, I guess two different things. What would be like your favorite feature that you worked on for this season, and what would be the most challenging one? And they could be the same thing.
Oh, sure. Um, For the season specifically, I had a fantastic time working on the well, post PTR. We sat down and we were like, well, we're getting a lot of feedback that people want these affixes to be meaner. They want them to be more painful. And we want escalating nightmares to be a little scarier and more terrifying and, nightmarish, one could say. And so I had a ton of fun sitting down with the team and just being like, all right, well, we've kind of got the green light. Like, what are we going to do? And so we came up with a lot of, sadistic ways that these affixes can be scarier and, of course, still fun to deal with and not like annoying or anything. But it was great to, just go in and take that hammer to those affixes and really plus up what Nightmare Dungeons and escalating nightmares can do to the player. That was great. Um, the most challenging thing that I've worked on, I actually want to step outside of the season because there's a specific thing that I had to work on that was just wild. So when we were getting Vessel of Hatred ready, um, we of course did the big progression changes in the expansion, and we had to do a tremendous amount of testing to make all of those changes work because it was such a fundamental shift in the way that you play the game, that we had to make sure every different scenario a player could be in would be like fun or not like game breaking, I should say. And so going through and testing every single different difficulty scenario against all the different possible player states, any like level of power that any given character is at, like that was crazy, really rewarding and super fun, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. But oh my god, working on that was wild.
I can only imagine like the gargantuan undertaking that would be, but like honestly, thank you for taking on the challenge because it's extremely important. Because I know that Diablo 4 appeals to I guess like a pretty wide variety of players, like from casual people who just pick it up maybe like a couple times a week, a couple times a month, to the people who play it like all day, every day. And you want that content to feel good for everybody. And I love that you're the one that was ensuring that for us.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, like we basically took a look at it from like the perspective of like, well, there's um, the lower end of like what a player's capabilities might be, and we need to make sure that like that's really fun and exciting for them, and then we need to take a look at what like the upper echelon, the highest potential is, and so accounting for both of those things and everything in between was like definitely really challenging. But that's kind of what Diablo is all about. Is it's just like making sure that no matter where you are, whether you're just starting out or you are hitting for, barbillions of damage, you're capable of having fun and being challenged in the game.
No, and that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. Um, I did want to sneak in here some questions from our lovely audience.
By all means.
One of the burning questions here. Solvaki would like to know if you and Dan ever have debates on who pronounces affixes correctly.
Oh, all the time. It's literally all we ever talk about. It's a problem. No, sometimes on the team, people will say it one way or the other way, and another person will be like, "I can't believe you just said it that way," and then physical fights ensue. No, it's a constant struggle for sure.
You guys are gonna have me questioning how to say it pretty soon here. Let's see. Kaiser Acidia asks, "What's behind your philosophy to almost always introduce one new unique per class per season? Why not have a bigger shakeup and update uniques of the season before that felt short on their identity?" So I guess they're asking, why not update older uniques instead of adding one each time? I guess like what your philosophy is behind that.
Yeah, so we think it's really important that there feels like there's something fresh, new, and exciting for each class every season. And so that's the primary impetus behind adding a new unique every season. We also do a lot of work, making sure that previous builds are, coming back up to snuff, or if they've fallen out of favor, we want to take a look at them. But there's a lot to cover, and we want to also put a spotlight on specific builds each new season as well. And or excuse me, one new unique per class each season is a really fantastic way for us to do that. And it also helps create kind of like a story for the class each season, which we can then grapple onto and make improvements to that class in that kind of thematic package.
That definitely does make sense. And honestly, I really like that. Like I know I only played Necromancer, but there have been a couple uniques introduced that have really like defined a season for me, like the season that we got Lidless Wall. Incredible. Um,
Hmm.
so I agree. I really like that it keeps it fresh and it kind of like opens up even more build diversity in itself. Let me see here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Link RS asks, have there been any thoughts on implementing some sort of pity timer for the RNG systems? For example, they played all of season 8 and never saw a single mythic drop. And they did over 150 hours of playtime for the season, which is more than usual, they said. So is there any kind of like way that people can maybe get mythics after trying and trying and trying and not get them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, on the topic of actually implementing pity timers, it's definitely conversations we've had in the team. It's something that fairly commonly gets brought up of like, well, should this like have a pity in some way? And typically speaking, we try to implement systems that would feel like pity or like randomness safety, one could say, through more visible game mechanics. Like for example, with the mythic system, you can craft mythics through runes, right? And I think that a big pain point in season 8 specifically was that just weren't finding enough legendary runes, and legendary runes fed into that sort of built-in safety net of finding mythics. Um, and so, because those kinds of systems are more visible, it's a lot easier for players to understand, like, oh, this is how I can kind of have that, like, quote unquote, randomness defense against not actually getting a mythic drop. I can go and craft them. And so, we do think that legendary rune rates fell short in season 8, and that specifically contributed to that feeling for mythics in season 8, which is why, we've pretty significantly buffed the amount of legendary runes you are going to be finding in season 9.
And that was one of the I guess like updates that you mentioned during the live stream that I was really excited to hear about, because I know, at least like from my own little community, one of the biggest complaints was that they just could not find the legendary runes that they needed for their builds, and they didn't want to have to feel like they had to kind of like branch out and beg for them or try to trade for them. So I just really like it will make it easier for the people who kind of embrace solo self-found, and just in general it'll just be nicer to have these runes dropping way more, or at least like being able to get more tributes to get more runes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't ever want like one specific reward in the game to feel like barren, like just they're not dropping enough at all. That's not our intent. So, whenever that kind of stuff ends up emerging, we're taking a look at those kinds of things and seeing what we can do to inject some more of it into the game in a fun way that doesn't like break everything, of course.
No, that's awesome. Let me see here. And sorry that I'm pelting you with so many questions, but I thank you so much for answering them. I know it means a lot to the community here to hear this
Oh
straight
no,
from you
yeah.
guys.
I'm here. I'm ready.
Beard asks, are there any thoughts about the Nightmare Dungeon sigils that can be marked with a red whisper symbol when it's a dungeon that is currently a whisper dungeon? So that way you don't have to sort through your stash to try to find it or craft it.
Yeah, so that's definitely a really big quality of life thing that we have had multiple conversations about. It's probably something we will have continuing conversations about. So I can't promise anything specifically about that. But yeah, we're thinking about that. We definitely acknowledge that that would be very nice and help smooth out the experience.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's already in the works. I love that. Let's see. Alkalita would like to know, would the devs consider doing a skill tree and reborn session, making the classes less dependent on items for passive skills or class abilities?
Yeah, so that's a constant ongoing conversation between class designers. They're always talking about that sort of stuff and like, is the skill tree enough, or is too much of it imbued into unique items? I know they're having like tons of conversations about that leading up, to more seasons being released. So I can't say anything really about that right now. But yeah, it's there are conversations happening about, like how can we make classes feel more fun to play and everything feels spread out like in a really really fun way. So there will definitely be more to share in the future.
That's really good to hear. I know that you already, I think Charles had mentioned how much work went into reassessing and rebalancing the basic skills and some of the ultimates. So that kind of gave me the impression that definitely a lot of this might be reworked in the future or like looked at again to address that.
Yeah, we kind of thought of the basic skill pass that Charles was referring to as kind of like a health pass for the game and class balance overall, and we feel like it's been pretty successful so far. So we're looking to do more of that in the fairly soon, I will say.
Oh man, here's another hot question that just came in. Luna asks, "Are there any thoughts on adding Mrak as a pet?"
What, with just like a tiny little baby Mirac? I mean, there is now, so yes, yes.
Ooh, I like this answer. Thank you
Take it
so
with a
much.
grain of salt. I mean, it sounds great. It sounds great.
I know that community feedback is so important to you guys, so just thank you again for taking the time to answer all our questions today. Um, I did want to ask, though, I guess specifically, how has community feedback been featured in your work in season 9? Like, what did you have to go back and maybe tweak based on feedback from the community?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So,
Probably so much.
um, a ton, yeah. I'll try to cover the highlights. So we all get together pretty consistently and talk about like the new seasonal powers, like the heroic spellcraft stuff. So I was a part of those conversations and like giving feedback, and we were talking a lot about like what catalysts are like too strong or too weak, or and then everything else and in between. I worked a lot on the heraldic jewels, so I was kind of glued to my screen watching videos of like what people thought of those and trying to make adjustments based on that. I had a big hand in um, the Nightmare Dungeon updates. And so a lot of the new work and new affixes we made post PTR, because like we heard a lot from people about like, they're not scary enough. We want escalating nightmares to really feel like an escalating nightmare, like really embody those two words. And so we really tried to take that to heart and make them feel a lot more challenging and then give them even more reward. Um, and then, of course, just like we really do just watch like as many videos and read as many comments as we possibly can. And there are, of course, like so many of them. So it's hard to read everything, but we do our absolute best. And just please keep sending us feedback. It's so helpful. Seriously, like we talk about these things all the time in the office and debate it.
I love that. So I hope that everybody listening definitely keeps the feedback coming from here on. I think it really touched me when you guys talked about how like the overall like vibe in the office would just have so much more energy when the PTR was up, and just like the amount of feedback coming in and being able to see, I guess like the testing in action. I don't know why, but that just meant a lot to me, that just you really enjoy seeing how the players react to everything and just really care about, you know, the health of the game and the life of the game. And that means a lot to us.
Oh yeah, like everyone here, like we play Diablo all the time. Like when new seasons launch, we literally like play all night. Like we just play. And then like we're sending messages to each other and we're watching people of like streamers playing or and reading comments of people that are playing. And we're shooting messages to each other back and forth about like, oh, it's like, did you see this new thing? Like, what do you think of this? Like, maybe we should change like something. Um, and of course, like we all get really, really excited when PTR is coming up because a lot of us have been working on these things for months and months, quite a long time, and so being able to share it with the world and see what people think and see what people like and see what people think could be improved. It's just like electrifying. It's really exciting for the whole team. Everyone looks forward to it. And we're just all running around like worker bees trying to get as many changes, positive improvements into the game as possible. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, no, thank you. I think, let's see. We have another question here coming in from Dub. What is your philosophy regarding necromancers and their summoners, and more specifically, their ability to focus target their minions' attacks? I know that this is less of a systems question here, but I'm a little bit curious about it as well, being a minion enjoyer, if we're ever gonna get a command skeleton.
Yeah, yeah. So I can't speak to the specifics of whatever, the class team is
Yeah,
cooking up
exactly.
next. But, having like I know that was something that you could do in Diablo 3, like you could specifically send out your skeletons and hit something. Um, it's definitely conversations that have been had and I'm sure continue to be had because that kind of direct versus indirect control is always like a topic of debate. Some people are like, oh, I just wanted to have my army go forth and conquer. And then other people are like, I want to like make sure that they're hitting the high priority targets, right? So I don't think it's out of the question to provide that sort of functionality. Where or how it would exist, couldn't necessarily say. But it's definitely something we are aware was like very popular from Diablo 3 for the Necromancer. And this is a Diablo game. So
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe I'm a little bit biased. I don't know, being a necro enjoyer and a minion enjoyer on top of that. But throughout the seasons, I've ran minion necro a couple seasons now, not in a row, but I've honestly felt the improvements. Like they get stronger and stronger every time they're reworked. They get more, I don't know how to put it, like fun interactions with different builds and with different items. So it's really just heartwarming to see like um different classes and their different like token class mechanics kind of like evolving with the game.
yeah, absolutely. It's really important to us to kind of protect the spirit of and the class fantasy of any one given class and their, various play styles. And so, really, when we're working towards improving those things, we try to dig into the heart of what that is and like what's the most fun about them, and then emphasize that. And in Necromancer's case, one of those big ones is minions and feeling like you have that army that can conquer everything. So I'm glad to hear that it's working out so far, and we'll continue to do our best to make it feel as smooth and fun as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know we're all really excited for Tuesday already, and I know a lot of us have a 3-day weekend and are probably going to be spending a lot of it on Diablo 4.
Oh,
um,
I will be. I'm probably going to be. They were giving me crap for it, but I don't know. I think I have to make a hardcore rogue and put on the death mask. It's just calling to me. It's the call of the void. I have to do it.
yes, I remember you saying that, and that was the what was that ability called? Flurry.
Yeah,
But that looked terrifying. And you are very brave for wanting to take that into hardcore.
brave, insane. What's the difference?
I think so Dorul would like to know I guess which of these updates, and I know you might have answered a little bit of this already, but which ones are you excited about, whether like, they're ones that you worked on yourself or from other parts of the team?
Yeah, I always love getting new bosses into the game. It's just great to be able to just have like a totally new boss fight to go in and fight and a new opportunity for like filling a new niche of rewards. And like in Astaroth's case, it's just really cool that he can be like a smattering of a bunch of different stuff, which is pretty fun. Also, I was just I'm an enjoyer, a big enjoyer of the narrative of Diablo. I love the vibe of Sanctuary and everything, and I hate Astaroth because he's just such a jerk. So I'm just ecstatic to have an opportunity to kick his ass again because he
Yes.
deserves it. Um, Also, I remember when we were first releasing stuff, it always warms my heart when we have an opportunity to bring a story boss or like some element that was only seen one time back as like a replayable thing. And so being able to do that with Astaroth is just great. And I would love for us to be able to do that more with other like bosses or other moments or cool things that we see throughout Diablo 4.
I think it would definitely be really well received if you did that. And you already have. Like I know I've said many times, at least like to my community, I love the Harbinger fight. I love that we could just keep going there. I love the way it's designed. I love the way it looks. And I feel like I'm going to feel the same way about Azeroth.
Yeah, no, it can be a terrifying fight. So because we made it so the difficulty actually increases as you escalate through a nightmare, Astaroth is going to be one of, if not the hardest boss in the game. Simply because if you go into an escalating nightmare in Torment 4, and then you escalate up to the Astaroth fight, the difficulty has increased. We also improved his actual, static health and damage. And then there's, of course, the various negative affixes that can apply to the fight. So that really is going to be a terrifying test, like for your character. If you can manage to get to Torment 4 and beat Astaroth there, that's going to be very impressive.
And I know that is music to a lot of people's ears because I've heard it from my own community and just from reading everywhere else as well that like people want it to be harder. I don't know what it is about this game, but we just crave the pain. And I'm just really glad that it's just become a goal for you guys. You're like, how can we make them suffer, and then how can we make the suffering worth it? at the same time. So that's just really good to hear that that's like a constant thing that's being addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we totally understand that Diablo is a game about pushing yourself as far as you can. And so, we constantly have our sights set on like, well, how can we make the end game experience more painful, to your point, and more rewarding? Like, how can we put those things together and push it further and further than it's ever gone before, so that you can feel like you can push further and further than you've ever gone before? That's absolutely in our sights, and is a guiding light for sure as we continue to work on more content in the future.
Absolutely. Oh, we have another burning question coming in. This one is from Bunny slash Anisa. She wants to know, are there any plans to make more Dark Citadel content? She said, I love the mechanics, the different mechanics of the bosses in there. And I actually, that's something I would want to know as well. I very much enjoyed Dark Citadel. Is there anything else planned, like any sort of like larger, maybe multiple winged dungeon with these cooperative teamwork mechanics?
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff about the Dark Citadel that we really love on the team too. We're really, really happy with how like the cinematic presentation and the vibes of the Dark Citadel came out, and also just like the way the boss fights work is really cool. It's definitely something we've taken. We saw what was successful about the Dark Citadel, and we do want to emulate that in the future. I can't talk specifically about anything, of course, but we share the sentiment that there are some really cool things about the Dark Citadel. We want to make sure that we can do, if we are to implement content similar to it in the future, that we get it absolutely right. So, stay tuned.
Oh, we will be. We're always excited to see what you guys have been cooking, whether we know about it or not. I always get excited because I know you guys can't cover every single thing in the updates. So it's always a really pleasant surprise to just be going through a season and see something that like wasn't covered. That's like a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like why we do this, right?
Of course. Uh, Let me see here. Thank you again, by the way. Just I can't say it enough. Like it really means a lot to us here at Sanctuary and the whole community. Just taking the time to answer their questions and honestly just to hang out and get to talk to you has been fun as well.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. No, I'm super happy to be here. It's good to talk to you. It's good to have a platform to talk to the community. It's honestly something that I personally try to do as much as I can. Like I love Diablo, and I want to make sure that it's the best it can possibly be. And there's no way we can do that without having a constant discourse. So these kinds of things are just completely invaluable to us.
And they mean so much to us as well. And honestly, I've seen nothing but like just kindness and just opening up a real listening ear to everybody on the team, like whether it's community managers or developers. Like you guys are just all awesome, and I know everyone here at Sanctuary is so excited that you're here. I guess if I had to ask one final question, it would be what is the one thing that you are just itching to do as soon as season 9 starts up? Like what would it be, making your hardcore character, or is there a part of the game that you can't
Yeah,
wait to get to?
well, I can't wait to set foot in my first strong room. We made a lot of improvements post PTR that made it like way smoother and very fun. So I'm super excited to step foot in a strong room and then go into an escalating nightmare because you can now pre-tournament, which is great. But basically, so I am in the unique position where I get to just watch Charles talk through all the new uniques, and I sometimes decide what I'm going to play that season, like while we're doing that. um, and honestly, I've always loved Flurry Rogue, and so it really does just speak to me. Originally, I was just going to make a softcore one, but I also just love hardcore because just the thrill of hardcore is just terrifying and amazing. And the death mask just seems like such a stupid item to take into hardcore, but like that just speaks to me. So I'm probably going to make a hardcore rogue and probably going to regret it very quickly, but it will be great while it lasts.
No, it will be both foolhardy and very fun, I think. Like there's definitely a rush that you get from that style of gameplay. And honestly, I've been considering doing hardcore as well for the next season just to keep things interesting, I guess. So that's just really exciting overall. And I guess to close here, just thank you again for coming out. Like we got so much information today, not just from you, but also from Charles and Dan as well. And just keep up the amazing work, and just thank you for listening to us, and just making us feel like that our feedback is really not only heard but also cherished. Like that's something that really touches my heart and a lot of other people's hearts, I think. But please have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me, and thank you guys, everyone, for watching. And come July 1st, get out there and kill as many demons as possible for us. They deserve to die. Kill them all.
We'll get them all. Thank you again so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. See ya. Oh man. That was so exciting. Thank you guys again for coming to hang out, and just for showing up for Aislyn and asking your questions as well. Honestly, like, I always say that what really makes this kind of content is you guys. Like we love hearing feedback, especially like constructive feedback, or even just hearing what you guys really like, what you really don't like. I know I've asked my own community this as well, like, what's really working for you, what's not. So just don't forget that they love this game as much as you do, and they want it to be good just as much as you do. So just thank you guys again for coming out for another Sanctuary stage. I hope that we do more of these again in the future. And have a wonderful rest of your day and a good